What's up, Lego family? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Lego investing. Now, for those of you who are new here, this is not my traditional video, but you guys have been really enjoying the heart-to-heart talks talking about Lego and discussing the future, investing, and all those good things. And I've been getting so many questions, and I applaud you guys for always dropping a comment. I try to do my best to answer your guys' comments in future videos. And one that I've always got asked in my comment section is what I think about the Lego market and investing and how things have changed. And boy, do I have some answers for you guys. Well, maybe not answers, because everybody's financial positions is completely different. I'm not licensed to give financial advice, so this video has nothing to do with that, but it's just an opinion-based, random guy on the internet talking about his status of Lego investing. So if that interests you, let's jump straight on into it. As always, guys, I've been collecting Lego. Investing in Lego originally got me into the hobby, and it started at time of recording now over 6 years ago. And from that point in time to modern day, a lot, and boy do I mean a lot, has changed. And for the good or for the bad, it doesn't really matter, because here we are today. So again, going back to some of your questions is, how has my game plan changed in the Lego investing world? Is Lego still worth investing in? And to me, my answer is always going to be yes there. I've always mentioned this. I like to play the long game, whether that involves investing in the short term, long term, whatever it is. I'm still in the Lego game for the long term. And what do I mean by that? Well, I don't see myself ending collecting Lego, building Lego, investing in Lego anytime soon. And even for that matter, creating content, because it's something I've just really enjoyed doing and something that gets my mind off a lot of my day-to-day activities and is just truly a great and fun thing to do. And of course, we all have to make our profits. If not, we probably couldn't do that. So again, adding into the mix. But bringing back the Lego investing side of things, I mentioned the game has changed. And what do I mean by that? Well, I feel like when I started investing, I was actually back in my college days buying stuff at Walmart in small amounts and was able to flip it for a quick profit. Now, I feel like my life's changed quite significantly, so those smaller gains, chasing down a few handful Walmart sets for a quick buck, isn't really worth my time anymore. However, I mentioned earlier, this is not the case for everybody, so that might be worthwhile to you. And with that being said, all power to you. That's where I started. That's where I really enjoy things. And again, the game has changed, but I'm not knocking you for doing that, because it's something where I started, and look where we've gotten from there, from that time point forward. However, my mind shifted quite a bit since that time and place. I feel like I definitely buy on a higher quantity now and move more product now, and I feel like that's okay. However, on the contrary, the Lego group produces more sets than they did when I originally started, and this could be looked at both ways, because you as a Lego collector, a Lego investor, burden all the risk. And when I say you, I'm also putting myself in that category. So I'm talking to you, Cristo, because as I buy Lego, as I keep it inventoried, whether it's built, whether it's sealed, whether it's minifigs, I burden all that risk of it potentially A, getting damaged, B, getting stolen, or C, of course, decreasing in value for whatever reasons that could come up. And trust me, it's something that always crosses my mind as a Lego investor. It said, do I buy X, the Lego Star Wars, chopper set? And who knows, maybe in a year, maybe in a month, it's worth less than what it is currently. And trust me, I said it, it burdens the risk of always going down in price. Now, is that the case? Well, statistically speaking, the Lego sets that we always invested in, I feel like for the most and majority of the sets have done pretty well numbers, especially buying them on discount. They've pretty typically always gone up in price. Now, of course, there's other factors to go into when selling, including selling costs, fees, moving the product through, tape, through shipping, through all of those things to get your product Lego set shipped out. I mean, these are all things that don't really get talked about, but it could eat up 20 to 35% of your selling costs, like at cost. And that's a significant amount, and something we don't factor when we talk about these YouTube videos, and I'm sure others don't discuss when talking to you about Lego investing. But here I am to tell you that those fees add up, and they add up fast. But with Lego continuing to produce more and more sets, Lego investing has changed. I know I get a little bit repetitive because I've mentioned many times that, we change our strategy. We've become more selective in the Lego sets that we buy for investing. But I feel like this is pretty good advice or opinion-based advice for many. And I feel like you could diversify your portfolio of Lego sets by just buying a wide variety of ones to invest in, right? Like, for example, say the Ninjago City Gardens, which is right now, Ninjago City Markets is retiring at the end of 2025. Now, say I had $1,000 to invest, or say I had $10,000 to invest, and say I had $100,000 to invest. Should I buy all of this one set? And unless you're super risk adverse, right? The answer is probably no. You should probably diversify and buy a bunch of different sets, right? If you had $1,000, maybe spending 30% of that budget on one single set isn't the worthy option. And instead, you should probably diversify and buy, 20 sets that all cost, $50, right? Like, I think that might be a better use of your money to potentially make more money. Versus if you had $100,000, well, maybe buying 10% of that into one set might be a little bit more worthwhile. So anyways, that perspective is always going to stay true, at least in my opinion. I feel like diversifying in the sets that you're investing in has done well for me. So it's something I'm going to share with you guys. I feel like I've never really gone heavy into one single set. I don't think there was a single time where I said I bought, all my, budget in Lego bookshops to invest in, the one that retired recently in the past couple of years. It's done exceptionally well. Do I wish I bought more? Absolutely. But because I didn't do that, I didn't put myself in even further risk of potentially being stuck or holding on to those sets for quite some time. Now, I will say hindsight is 2020. It always will be. I'll always wish I bought more, especially for my winners, but no one on the internet, not me, not anyone, is able to predict that. So keep that in mind when you're Lego investing. You're never going to buy the low, so we're never going to get the deepest deal possible, and we're never going to sell the highest high. With that mentality, I promise you, you're going to have a better outlook when you're investing in Lego. Trust me, I'm going to repeat that one more time, is you're never going to buy the deepest deal. Like, it's never going to happen. There's always going to be a sale that gone a little bit further. Like, dang, if I maybe hit an extra couple Walmarts, I would have found that one instead of 50% off. I could have found it for 60. It's never going to happen. And on top of that, and vice versa, you're never going to sell the high, right? So say it was Ninjago City Markets, set retails for like $360 or $370 or $380 or something in there. Say it's $700 in a year or so. You part ways with one just a little bit before that, and it's at $650, and then, a month later you see some going for $700. Like, you're never gonna get that high premium price tag. But I will say this: the more you do move some of these products through Lego investing, the quicker you can turn and churn more Lego sets for more profit, depending on how you want to scale, depending on how much you want to Lego invest. So anyways, take that with how you will. Aside from that, I still think Lego investing is here to stay in 2025 and in the outlook for 2026. It always is mindset shifted, and of course is going to be different from now until a year from now. So I still think one of the biggest times of Lego investing is approaching. I feel like end of the year sales is one of the best times to buy Lego sets on discount and best times to invest in Lego. Why do I think that? Well, because if I'm buying a Lego set at the end of the year and it's retiring and it gets discontinued, and then from that point forward, people miss out on it, they still want it, whatever it is, and you're able to churn it for a profit, you're holding it for the least amount of time, holding less risk than if you bought a set that just released. And a great example of that is a set that's not listed over here, but say I invested in the Black Pearl, right? I don't know how long the Black Pearl is going to be on the market. Say there's a pretty good deal with them. I buy a bunch of them on day one release with the GWPs and, the points, all that good stuff. So I spend a lot of money on a $380 set. Say I buy 10 of them, just under $4,000, $4,000 after tax probably. How long am I going to be sitting on those sets? Who knows? That Black Pearl could retire in a year, in 2 years, 3, 4, 5. It could be like the UCS Falcon. It could be out there for a decade. I don't know that. So rather me, and my mindset shifted, and it's something that's gone on for numerous years now, is I focus on those sets that are retiring at the end of the year. At the end of the year, because those sets will be gone forever. Those would be the ones with the highest remorse of being missed out on. And at that point, they're already a collectible, and people are going to be buying them for a higher price than what they retailed, because investors or Lego resellers hold on to them, they burden the risk of buying them, they burden the risk of holding them, and they burden the risk of selling them later down the road. So what do? They earn a profit for taking that risk. And that comes you and me, probably if you're already watching this late into today's video. So anyways, I'm curious to see what you have to say in the comments below. How has your mindset shifted in Lego investing? And hopefully I answered a lot of the questions that I always get in some of my videos. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up. Let me know in the comments section if you enjoyed today's video. Like so if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.